Sorry, technical difficulties. Okay, I'm back. Welcome to Of the Publishing Persuasion. I'm Angela Montoya, and I now have a microphone, ladies and gentlemen. So you will be getting this sexy voice in your ear holes.
And if you're watching, you'll be getting the sexy eyes down just at the bottom of the screen. Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen. Yes, welcome to Of the Publishing Persuasion, dear listeners and friends. I am Angela Montoya, author of Sinner's Isle, a young adult fantasy romance coming out on Halloween of 2023. And I'm here with Melanie. I'm here with Melanie Schubert. She is just sexy today, you guys.
I'm blushing. I need to see what you have in your hand, though. What is this happening?
Melanie, let me show you real fast. So it's really nice. So like I mentioned, I'm not getting physical arcs, right,
Yeah.
for Sinner's Isle. And I had mentioned this on a TikTok, and one of a dear friend was like, well, you could just print out your cover and like put it on a book. And I was like, that is genius. And she said, I'll do it for you. So she printed out like a cover mock-up of Sinner's Isle. And
a mile off.
yeah, it was way back here. And you said, who are those sexy MFers? Yeah, so I have Sinner's Isle in my hand, just a mock-up version, just to like use for promo since I won't have physical arcs. So
Why
look,
do I want to cry over the mock-up? It's beautiful.
Aren't they the cutest though? Look how cute, and I just love it.
So perfect.
Huh?
Seeing it, like, even though it's just a mock-up, are you emotional about it?
Yeah, it's yes. And I'm just like, I almost feel like not getting a physical arc is gonna make it more fun, because when I get the actual book, it's gonna be the actual book with like the dedication and all the acknowledgments and like all of the stuff, and a map. So yes. So I'm excited. So
I
yeah.
fucking love it. Can you print another one and send it to me? I'll put it in the background.
Oh, good idea.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's time for
For
it to
these
be.
babies to come your way. So yeah. So that's really, really great. And
And
yeah.
what did I see as well? Number 79 in YA fantasy category.
Let me tell you something, Melanie Schubert. So I had no idea that like I didn't know like
Yeah.
to look into those categories of like new releases and to see the list. And so Lissa, our dear friend, the author of Ravel, like was like, oh hey, I was looking at my rankings on the weekend and I saw this, and it was Sinner's Isle. She's right there. And so I posted about it, and then I started thinking, oh, this is silly. Like I should maybe take this down. Like, who cares, right? And then um, Catherine Bakewell, she wrote Flower Heart, or it's up and coming. It's coming, and she slid into my DMs, and she was like 79. She saw that's nothing, and she showed me another like clip of I was like Sinner's Isle was up there in like number 13 on another ranking on Amazon. And I was telling her like, oh, I was telling myself like, oh, maybe I should take this down and not be like excited about these things because it's just a list. And she was like, are you kidding me? She's like, this is fun. This is the fun part. These little moments, they're not little. They're these things that bring you joy, and you should celebrate all of these moments, because who knows what's going to come next? Who knows when a good moment's coming again? So celebrate, and whoever is on your side will be celebrating with you.
Mm.
So it was a nice like kick in the ass of just like, bitch, just enjoy this. so that's what I did. I left like my post up, and then and so enjoyed it and I'm thankful. And yeah, so it's really fun to see Sinner's Isle up there, um, just hanging up on Amazon lists, like well before
Yes.
it comes out. So
You absolutely should be screaming it from the roofs and never feel silly for it. Because if you look, I'm pretty sure, especially in that, the reason that's such a big deal is it's like 79 out of like, what, 79,000 or something, or 7,900,000 or something. Like, and your book is not even out for like, what, 6 months? I can't add. I can't
8 months. I think, yeah, I know. Me neither. But I think it's like 8 months. I think we've got like 8 months to go.
So yeah,
Sorry.
it's
Yeah.
wild and it
Yeah.
should be screamed from the rooftops. So I mean, I feel like that's a clear sign it's going to go right to #1 on release day. I'm just manifesting that for this
Yeah.
journey right now.
Yes. But and now I feel, and I'm sure I told you this yesterday, I think, in my drunken rantings. But now I feel like this, I mean, I always feel this, but like this pressure to produce, to make sure this book is what everybody's hoping it is supposed to be. And so I just feel this like, oh, I just want to. Here's what it is, Melanie. Let me just take this back. I feel like it's this need to feel like I was worth the investment. You know what I mean? Like I was worth the 18.99 or the 10.99 or what the Yoons and Joy Revolution has invested in me. I just want to feel like I was worthy and I was able to give them what they needed, where they're like, ah, yes, thank you. And so like I just bust my ass because I don't want to let anyone down about the book. and at the end of the day, I think it's like I just want to be the what they hoped I am, and my characters in the book. And so just know, listeners, I busted my ass. So I'm trying, and hopefully I'll just keep getting better. But
You're gonna make me cry because it's literally like, I think, yeah, like it's definitely at the root of what moves me to push
yeah.
something. You want to make the people who believe in you proud. You want to show them this is why you put your faith in me. I did it. Like, but just by being yourself, you already do that, you know? And like whatever happens beyond this point is a bonus, you know? You've already made all those people proud. There is no visible container that you can now fill that will make that feeling go away. That's something you just have to know in yourself, that you already do that just by existing. She's been to therapy.
Yes, she has. She has been to therapy. She knows what she is talking about, and she's speaking to my soul right now.
It says like, yeah, this is what my therapist said to me, so I'm passing it on. I found it really healing, people.
Oh, that's good though.
And when she said it, I was like, fuck, like, she's right. Like, shout out to my therapist, Priya.
Oh, it's good though. But and I think it honestly even like travels back to like childhood and not feeling maybe like loved enough, or like,
No,
or like,
it is.
you know what I mean? I've always been like shoved to the side, and so I want to, and so I think it's always just been in me to like prove that I am like,
yeah.
you
Dude,
know what
you're
I mean? So
talking to the preaching to the choir. Like that's a lot of I've discussed recently in therapy that like she was, I mean, I don't know, I'll just share it if it's helpful to anyone. That's what she said to me. She's like, you don't need to come with like this ready-made pitch of yourself to people. People will just love you. The real people who love you are gonna love you just because you're you. There's nothing you need. You already are all these things that you feel sometimes exhausted trying to be. That is all part of you. So you don't have to try so hard to be it. And that, yeah, like the really good friends, they they don't need that like almost performative version. They're happy with the grumpy version, you know, like yesterday my husband came home and like I was like the ugliest little troll. I was in like trackies. I had on a lot big like boy t-shirt down to my knees. My hair was greasy. He's like, "You look so cute." And I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, but it's those little, like, it's kind of a mushy, cheesy moment to share, but it's like those intrusive voices that have told me that like that's somehow undesirable, that's somehow unpolished, whatever. But you're real friends, and I'm the same. I think my friends look adorable when they're like that. I don't like have this thing. I think my friends are adorable when they're grumpy, when they're sad. So we shouldn't expect ourselves to constantly be performing either. But we do, because yeah, like I also have that similar people pleaser thing. We probably both had some toxic friends in our childhood who you always had to keep them happy. You always had to like, you know, they would lavish you with love and then take it away. I had a real toxic friend in primary school like that. And it was like they're just turn. And so you're constantly trying to, you know, perform, show them, get the good stuff back.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just scratching the surface.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if it's helpful when I share this stuff, but some people seem to find it helpful. So when it comes up, I'll chuck some of my therapy nuggets in.
Please do. Please do. And I guarantee you our listeners love it, but mostly I love it. Mostly I need it. So
It's so funny because my other Angela as well, she was like the other day, she's like, I really appreciated that. She's like, I feel like you're kind of like, you're doing therapy, but I'm getting so much out of it too.
yes, yes, it's so
like,
helpful.
Okay, my loves, I'll go to therapy for us.
It's helpful to all of us, Melanie. I love it. Yes, thank you. Well, how are you? How is everything?
Yeah, good. Like I've started taking CBD oil, which I found to be like definitely like, ooh, gives my body just like a little bit of calm. So that was really cool. I'm very much in love with CBD oil. But
I know.
Honestly, I've just been sick for the last week and a half, and then I got my period. So I've been living in a cave for about 2 weeks, but picking up now, feeling good, querying all the agents I can, and I feel good about it. Honestly, like it's such a different mindset how I'm going about it now to before. Because I think before I was so fixed on like this small group of agents that I perceived to be successful and desirable. But honestly, I keep thinking back to pitch wars, and I was like, when you do pitch wars, you have no control over who requests in the showcase. Anyone, you know, like some people had 40 agents plus request their work. And I was like, what if I approach it like that? What if I approach it like trust in like the kind of universal timing and whatever, that the right person is going to resonate with my work and want to rep me, and let go of this idea of being repped by like this one perfect agent? Because half the time you find out they weren't the agent you thought they were. They like their lists are clogged. They don't even like your voice, whatever. There's a million things you can find out. And dream agents are no longer dream agents. Yeah. And so it's kind of just freed me to just go for it. Query smaller agents, query smaller agencies, just query the people who I think might love this story because I believe in this story. And it's been like, it's really liberating to query that way. So that's been good.
I'm so happy. Good. Well, speaking of absolutely liberating people to talk to, we have our dearest, most amazing, special human, Maria José Fitzgerald, that we had on today. And talk about big magic. You know what I mean?
We were blessed to have her on.
We were so blessed, and love her to the moon and back. Do you want to do the honors, Melanie, or would you like me to?
I can do it.
Okay.
So the delightful Maria José is a writer of children's books. Her favorite stories usually include animals, friendships, family, and magic. She grew up snorkeling and hiking in her homeland of Honduras, where nature and culture nourished her soul. Her debut novel, Turtles of the Midnight Moon, will be published by Knopf in the spring of 2023. When she's not writing, you can find her teaching, reading, walking her dogs, relaxing on the couch with her family, or maybe out on a mountain bike ride. She's represented by Sara Crowe at Pippin Properties. That's a tongue twister, Pippin Properties.
Right. Yeah, that is. Well, let's get Maria on, and you guys get to experience a bit of her magic as well.
Yeah.
And what was Surf's Up?
Surf's Up. She is magic. Surf those waves. Hello,
Maria.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
So good to see you all. Well, both of you.
Yeah.
I know. It's a long time coming.
It is such a long time coming.
Yeah, I mean,
2020 maybe, or 2021. I mean, we've emailed.
yeah. But how wild is that? Like, time is just flying. It doesn't feel like we were like 2020 even happened, or 2021 or 2022. It just feels like time just doesn't even exist anymore.
I know. It's crazy. I am so happy to see you both of your faces. It's amazing. I mean, I listen to your podcast all the time, and I see you on Instagram, and we email and we DM, but seeing your faces is a whole other thing, because I never watched the podcast on, I guess, YouTube. I don't know where you put it, but I listen to it on my way to work. So
Aw, that's the best. I love that because it's fun. It's always fun to chat with people that listen, because it just feels like we're all just friends. We're all part of this community that,
totally.
And
I learned a new word for that on like another podcast called parasocial relationships. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
I had never heard of that, but I was listening to another podcast, and the interviewee told the interviewers that she had a parasocial relationship with them. And the interviewers were like, what does that mean? And she was like, well, it's when you feel like you're friends with someone because you have this relationship with them parasocially through the internet, through social media, through podcasts, through books.
Yeah,
I love that.
It makes a lot of sense. It really, really does.
Yeah.
I feel that all the time. Like just when you're in people's stories on Instagram or on TikTok, or, you're a part of their lives, like their day to day, what they're up to. So it feels like you really know these people, right? And then you suddenly like slide into their DMs like, oh, hey, this is so funny. And they're like,
Yeah.
who are you?
Exactly. Yeah. No, I'm sure it happens to you all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I slide into people's DMs, and I've done it on the show even. I still am horrified. It's still one of my worst shows with Zoraida, where I had been following her. I knew what she was up to. I knew she was like on a writer's retreat, and she popped in, and I'm like, oh, well, where are you right now? And she's like,
yeah. How was your retreat? How was that burger you had for lunch? I saw you posted it.
I love it. I love it.
Oh my God. Well, it's so good to see you both.
Yeah, it's great to have you on.
Yes. Well, let's get right into it and just like start from the very beginning. I mean, we'll intro you beforehand, but let's get into it and just talk all about you. Let's tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm a Capricorn. Very proud to be a Capricorn, very much a Capricorn. I am the oldest of 6 children. And I am from Honduras, born and raised, and ended up somehow through university and work in Brooklyn, and met my husband at a dog park. We both love dogs. We both had dogs, and we have 3 dogs. We've had dogs our whole lives. And yeah, I'm married, have 2 kids. We live in New Jersey. Yeah, and I love to write. Yeah, I mean, how much do you want to know? I could go on, but
I love that. I have to ask, I don't know much about Capricorns, so tell me, what are your Capricorn traits that you're like most proud of? That's like super true Capricorn.
Super true is that we are very much grounded, but at the same time, we have high standards and we're goal achievers. And when we set ourselves up with a goal, which I guess is how I ended up, writing a whole novel. We set ourselves up with a goal and we go for it, and yeah, and I feel like I'm grounded, I'm goal oriented for an earth sign. So
That
yeah.
is.
I was just going to ask, yeah, what sign is that? An earth sign? That makes total sense.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Yeah. And it's pretty right on. Like, I feel like I'm pretty much every Capricorn trait, I check it off the list. Like, yep.
I love it. Well, I'm a Scorpio, so I feel like all the time I'll tell people that and they're like, "Oh yeah, it makes sense." And I never know what that means, but I'm just going to take it as a compliment.
Yeah. What about you, Melanie? What are you?
I'm a Pisces, and I'm a very true Pisces, like so much to a T.
So your birthday's coming up.
Yes, it is. March 17th. I'm a St. Patrick's girl. Lucky.
Oh my God, that's my mother's birthday.
No, we're very lucky people, and I find four-leaf clovers all the time. So I'm a true St. Patty's girl.
Oh, I love it. Oh, that's so fun.
She's magic. She really is. She finds these damn four-leaf clovers everywhere she goes, and I hunt. I hunt for these plants, and I never see one. So I'm pretty sure Melanie might be part witch. I'm out on that, but and I have to go back real fast to your love story, because are you gonna write this? Is it gonna be a rom-com? Because
I don't know. No one's ever asked me that. I've never thought to do that, but it was one of those. We met in January on a super frigid, very snowy, very cold Brooklyn, New York night. And I had just rescued my dog. I really wanted to have a dog. I hadn't had a dog in a couple of years because I was broke and I lived in a studio apartment. And I got this dog and I'd only had him for a bit. And I met him at the park and our dogs just started playing. But I don't know if you've ever been to a dog park in the winter when there's like off leash time. All the humans kind of huddle with their coats and like you can't see anybody's face because you're wearing, your parkas and your hats. And so Sean and I were kind of next to each other, but we didn't know each other. But he said to this day, I could see your eyes. That's all I could see, but that's all I needed.
Oh,
right. This is the most beautiful. I'm a big dog lover, and dog park is very familiar vibe to me. I'm picturing this so vividly. I need the rom-com now. I need the K-drama. I need the Netflix movie at once. At once. That is
get on it.
Get on it. Yeah, no, it was funny. And then we kept running into each other at the same time. So like we didn't exchange numbers or anything that night, but he asked me where I was from and we chatted a little bit. And then ever since then, we kind of stuck to the same routine where we would both walk the dogs to the park right around that same time. So then we started to get to know each other.
I bet that wasn't by accident. Were you going to the park a little extra? I bet he was there all day.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Warms my heart. Did you always want to be a writer?
No, I did not always want to be a writer. Not at all. Like, I didn't even think writing was something you could do. And like, I always viewed authors as like this otherworldly, like not part of my world kind of a thing. All the women in my family were either teachers, and I am a teacher actually, but they were either teachers or, stay-at-home moms, a few maybe entrepreneurs here and there, but nobody in my family was a writer. Come to find out much later, though, that my great grandfather was a writer, but I never knew this. I didn't know that he had published books and stuff. No one really ever told me. So that's kind of interesting. But growing up, I mean, I guess that's a Capricorn trait. I was practical, I just never went there. I loved books. I loved stories. I loved movies. I loved video games. Like we didn't have that many books growing up in Honduras for like middle grade books, or we had some, but they were mostly, the typical, bestsellers or the classics. But I did read and, we had stories, and I just never thought of it as a career that I could pursue. But now that I am a writer, that I'm writing, looking back, I'm like, wait a second. I used to sit and like create little stories. And like, I remember in fourth grade, like our project was to write a book, and I wrote this whole story and I illustrated it. And it was about a puppeteer and his puppets who would come to life at night. And I remember this story vividly, but I never would take it to the next level of like, I want to be a writer, you know? It wasn't ever in something I thought I could do. I journaled. Words are my love language, you know, the 7 love languages or whatever, the 5 words are it for me. And when I was in my 20s, I wrote a lot of poetry, and I read them now and I cringe. Like, oh my God. I read some of my old poems and I'm like, but it's funny. So no, I really did not want to be a writer.
Wow. So what got you started?
Yeah, that's kind of another funny story. So I like I said, I always loved writing. I kept a journal. I wrote little stories. I would do things for school, like for my students that involved creative writing. Like we did, my 8th graders, we always did a project every year. Their end of year project was to write children's books in Spanish. And so like it was always kind of in me. And then I burned out from teaching. I quit. I decided to take a year off. I was like, I can't do it anymore. I'm going to take a year off. I just don't know what's to come, but I just want to take a break. I had just turned 40. So this was January 2019, right? So
Wow.
Capricorn again, January. And so I gave my notice 2019, and I started kind of thinking like maybe I would write, but it wasn't until summer that year where I was free. Like all of a sudden I didn't have to think about the fall. There was no like start date for work again. You know, there wasn't like the clock is ticking, my vacation's going to end. It was sort of like I had all this time. And I swear to you guys, like I was at home sitting on my computer, just like not twiddling my thumbs, but just not really sure of what was next for me. And I thought of these 2 characters, and I was like, Brana and Abby, and their names. And I was like, I want to tell a story. I want to set it back home. You know, I want to write. I was always obsessed with sea turtles. I studied ecology in college. And I just was like, let me tell this story about these 2 girls that, you know, solve this mystery. And that kind of started the whole thing. And I wrote that first draft in 2019, like from the summer through, you know, the end of 2019, and did some revisions. And, you know, we can talk about all that later. But yeah, it's kind of strange. It's sort of like I turned 40 and like a light bulb went off, you know?
Yes.
Like it just like a light bulb went off. Like I can do this. Like I can tell stories. I can write. And my parents would tell me that I was a great writer because I would write essays. Anytime I wanted something from my parents, I would not talk to them about it. I would write them a full-on essay on why I needed this or why I should go on this trip.
Genius.
It was like I wrote my way through my childhood.
I am
Yeah,
sorry for what I've done.
all of it. Cards, like I'm all about cards and like writing messages for my brothers. I remember my grandmother would always like cry because I would write her little poems. So I don't know. It just kind of, I turned 40 and I was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do now.
Ugh, I love that. It's one of those things where being an author, there is no age limit. Like there is no, I have to do this before this time.
Mhm.
It just comes when it comes, or when you can finally have the time to write.
Yeah.
And you know, so there's magic there at any age. And I just love like watching you thrive. And here you are with this beautiful book. But before we get to your book,
Yeah.
so you wrote it, and what made you get into Pitch Wars? Because that's where we all met. So
Yeah.
what was the process there of our beloved, rest in peace, Pitch Wars? But what made you want to be in a mentorship program?
So that kind of happened. I knew nothing about publishing. I knew nothing about how you got a book in the hands of kids or how you even began to get an agent. So, and I wasn't active on social media back then or anything, but Pitch Wars came about because I started querying, and I guess when did I start querying? Like early 2020, maybe. My timeline is off. Like the time is just all fuzzy.
Yeah.
But after about a year of writing and revising, and I showed my book to some good friends, and they read those early drafts, and they were like, "This is amazing." Of course, they were my friends. They weren't critique partners, right? Their kids read them, read the story. But when I figured out what querying was and how you did all that, I went to the library. I did research. Like literally, I went to the library, and they have these like catalogs with agent like emails and addresses, and they tell you what they're looking for. I guess it's a printed form of the manuscript wish list. And
Wow.
then I started Googling agents, and I would just sit in Google and like, okay, this is how it works. I read, query samples, but I got a lot of rejections, like it wasn't ready. Got a lot of rejections. I got, I think, two R&Rs. And then I was kind of like, okay, so I don't know like what to do. I've never really revised a novel. I don't know what I'm doing. And so I honestly can't remember how I found out about Pitch Wars. I think somebody said you've got to get on Twitter. I think I got on Twitter, I created an account, and through Twitter, I found out about it. And I applied the day everything was due, like on the due date. Like, I think I submitted my application to Pitch Wars 11 minutes before the deadline. And I had a manuscript, and so I just like flash wrote my cover letter or my query. And I didn't get even through all the mentors. Didn't have time. And
Wow.
so I think I just like clicked on, like, I sort of went through the list a little bit, and I clicked on three people that I thought would be a good fit. And I submitted, and I said, you know what, who knows? Like, I don't know that I'll get into this. It's so competitive. But Jessica Vitalis and Julie Arts saw something in my writing, and they picked me, and I was in shock. Like, I could not believe it. I was like, what is happening? And I remember it was like right around the elections in November.
Yes.
So there was like a lot going on, and it was COVID, and my girls were doing virtual school. Oh, so that's the other thing that happened was that after I left teaching, then COVID hit. I was just going to take a year off, maybe two, but then COVID hit, and we were like, oh my gosh. And so our children were doing virtual school. And then, so then I didn't go back to teaching. I was like, why would I go back to teaching right now?
Oh no, hell no.
So I just stayed home, and I was sort of their teacher, and I did some tutoring. Like I had my own a few students that I tutored online, just virtually. But yeah, so that's how I got into Pitch Wars. It was, it's life changing. You meet so many amazing people, and it's
Yeah.
great.
And I just love those little kind of magic tinged moments like that, where you found that just as the window was shutting and you picked these mentors that just wound up being so right for you. Like that kind of like big magic gut instinct stuff. It's so like, it just feels like the universe is like green lighting you, like, go baby, go. And I just like, that's
Exactly.
real magic in this world, let's be honest. And
Yeah,
I live for
nailed
those
it.
little moments. I love to hear it because it's just like, yeah, a little bit of a universal nudge.
Exactly. It was like a universal nudge. Like, you're moving in the right direction. Here are two angels for you to like guide you. And it was really a crash course in novel writing for me. We pretty much kept the bones, and Jessica and Julie and I, like, they had me completely restructure it and rewrite a lot of it, and then polish it after that. It was a arduous process. I was up very late at night.
Yeah, it was intense. It was so intense. And I think just life, just COVID life, and we're all virtual. So now we're all here together and like watching everybody else go through their revisions process. It was such a wild experience, so intense. We were just all in this bubble of like survival. But it really, honestly, it for me too, it changed everything. Just, I didn't know what an edit letter was. I didn't know all of these things, and it really just, it shaped how I am today. It was so wild, and how fun for us to be a part of this time.
Yeah.
It really is. It's like this magical thing that happened. And then now we all know so much more. I didn't know what an edit letter was either, Angela. I had no idea. I feel like I've learned so much about this industry in just like 3 years. And,
Yeah.
I tell my family, I'm like, I can't believe like I started this journey just 4 years ago. Like, and I know, there are writers who spend years querying and, who start in their 20s, and they start so freaking young. I just met a writer in Seattle at the American Booksellers Association, and she is a senior in college. And she was one of the Indies Introduces book. She wrote Kismet Connection. And
Oh, yes.
yeah,
She's in high school?
she's a senior in college.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. No,
Woo!
no.
I was starting to really feel bad about myself. Okay. Yes.
No, sorry. See, although I'm sure people have written novels in high school as well, but yeah, senior in college. And, it's amazing. Like, I can't imagine having written a book my senior year of university. There's no way. I needed so many more life experiences to lead me to this place. But I've always been a late bloomer. That was my thing. Like literally in school, I was called the green mango. That was like what people would call me.
Well, look at you now, right? I mean, just sprinkle a little tahini on there and just eat it up.
That's right. How you like me now? Little lime juice, a little tahini, a little hot sauce. Best green mango.
It is right there. Shoot.
That takes the longest to ripen is the sweetest.
I love it, Melanie. You always have like the best phrases, like I just heard the one about the ships rising with the
It's so funny. I have to say, my little email's been popping off because I get notified when people comment. And so far, 3 separate people have commented like, yes, Melanie, it's definitely a quote. And some of them say that I definitely said it, I think. I do not remember.
I feel like you did say it. When Angela said, I was like, I feel like I did hear this from Melanie at some point. And I loved it too. I was like, I love this image of all the ships rising, because of the water.
Yes, it's so good. Melanie, great job with that quote. I think it's perfect.
I mean, I'm going to take it, guys. Thank you.
No, but now you've got another one under your belt, which is the fruit that takes the longest to ripen is the sweetest. And I'm going to take that.
Yes, put it on a shirt because you right here. Can you tell us a little bit about your book, what it's about? And
sure.
I know beautiful
I have a copy of it.
Oh, it's so pretty. And you have a turtle sweater on today, don't you?
I did. I put on my Keep the Sea plastic free sweater. So it's Turtles of the Midnight Moon, and it's a middle grade eco mystery set in Honduras. And it follows 2 protagonists, Barana and Abby. They're 12 years old. It's told in alternating dual POV. And Barana lives in Honduras on a coastal village, and she is sort of magically connected. There's a connection that she has that's almost magical with the sea turtles, specifically one of the turtles that comes to her beach to nest. And she's part of this local conservation group that tries to protect and monitor and work to protect the sea turtles. And Abby is in New Jersey, and her father is Honduran, and she's sort of a budding photographer. Her whole connection to the natural world is through her photography lens, through her camera lens. And she's kind of adrift. She's kind of struggling through 6th grade. Her best friend moved away. She's kind of, bummed. And so she gets the opportunity to go with her father to Honduras for the summer. He's going on a work trip. And of course, the 2 girls meet. And while they clash at first, they come together to sort of figure out what's going on because the eggs have been being poached. And, they start sleuthing and gathering clues and looking for evidence and putting their lives on the line, really, to figure it out and to bring the thieves to justice. But I mean, it's sort of this fast-paced mystery, but it centers around these 2 characters and what their arcs are. And I think really it's like about compassion, and not just for the environment and all wild living things, but also for like yourself. And it's about friendship and community and forgiveness. So And it's got some magical elements sprinkled in. And I know you like big magic, Melanie. So
love big magic, and this may or may not be known about me, but I'm also like an animal, like a major animal person. Like my initial dream job was veterinarian until I did work experience and saw a vet cut a tumor off a dog in front of me, and then I was like, I can't handle the truth. So that was not, but also like, yeah, I've always loved those kinds of, and just like that mystery element, the solving, that this sounds right up young Mel and current Mel's alley. Just beautiful. And I love a good friendship arc. I love it working together. It sounds amazing. And the magical element, yes, you know, I do love that little bit of I talk to sea turtles vibe.
Yes, there's not talking, but there's definitely this almost physical connection that she has. I won't give too much away, but she is connected. And I think the thread of the story is how we are all actually connected. And as somebody who studied ecology, and how everything just that compassion for like the other, and even if you're not into conservation, I think everybody can relate to, there's these things that we want to protect, and that are in a way also connected to us in some way.
That's beautiful. And I love the reminder that we are all connected, and person to person, but also the world we live in. And I think it's a great reminder that we all need constantly, especially in a world where we're on our phones, not connected. We're connected, but we're not necessarily connected to what's around us. And I love that. I think we only need more and more books like this as that reminder. And that friendship is so, so important and beautiful and powerful. And so I'm really excited for this. I'm excited to read your beautiful book.
Yay. I love that. Thank you guys. Thank you. Yeah, and it's a beautiful cover too. So I have my background blurred, but you can see it. I just love this cover, and it's really special.
No, they knocked it out of the park with that cover, because it's beautiful in every way. Now, would you consider yourself a pantser or a plotter or somewhere in between?
I am completely in between. I aspire to be a plotter, but with mystery, you have to plot. Like, you definitely need to have certain things figured out and certain beats outlined. But I'm also very much a discovery writer when it comes to character. And, I think character holds a mystery together, because you want to be invested in the people in the story, not just the puzzle that's getting solved. So I like to discover my characters as I write. So, I mean, I'm still figuring out what kind of writer I am, because I'm sort of new, but I did actually write 2 more books since Pitch Wars up till now, and I'm working on a 3rd.
Wow.
So, I feel like what works for me is to have sort of a beat sheet that sort of outlines my main points, the main, pinch point and the inciting incident and the midpoint, and know who my bad guy is, and kind of know the ending. But then everything in between, I fill in as I go. Trying to figure out how to do it so that it's not, I go back a lot, because as I'm writing, I figure stuff out, and then I want to go back and change whatever it was. So I'm trying to figure out a system where if I figure something out about a character, and I'm like, oh, I got to go back and change all, chapters 1 through 9, because now I figured this out. So now I'm trying to put comments for myself so that I can keep moving forward. My critique partners are like, only forward, Maria, only forward. But it's hard, because I am a plotter / discovery writer / I wouldn't call myself a pantser, but yeah, somewhere in between.
Oh, I feel that right now. I'm drafting a new book, my first adult book, and I'm a mess. And I think because I thought, oh, okay, I know what I'm doing. I know like the beats, but then as I started writing, I'm like, nope, I know nothing. And I keep wanting to be like, I'm learning. And then I'm like, oh, I need to change everything, because I just learned something new that makes no sense at the beginning. So I'm feeling this, but it's a good reminder to work on the beats, because right now I got none. So I need to go back, because I'm a mess. I am blocked. So this is a good reminder that I forget.
Yeah, I think it's good to have those little points outlined, but at the same time, there's so much that comes from letting the creative process just happen. And also, I think it's okay if you're like, I don't know what I'm like, I got nothing with this, but that's actually kind of like part of the whole process of figuring it out. It's just so messy, writing a book is just, it's messy and it's in our heads. And we're like, I go to bed thinking about, oh, what's gonna happen with this guy, and it's just kind of a mess.
That's it right there. Yeah, it is a mess. And I don't know which one of you started to say embrace the mess, but yes, I wholeheartedly agree because it's all you can do. And like we talk about this a lot, like the extremes of like one day where you're just like, I'm the shit. And the next day, you're just like, I am shit. Like, why do I even do this? Why did I think I could make a career doing this? Days you're like, of course, this is what I was born to do. And it's just, I don't know why it has to be like that, but I'm also trying to embrace the mess.
It is. It's such an up and down. You almost have to just, I keep thinking of ship metaphors because of Sinner's Isle and because of your water rising, but almost like there's waves all around, but you just have to like keep your ship steady somehow through it and just ride those waves, I guess.
Oh, I got chills just thinking about just ride the waves, ride them.
Yeah, just
Hold
ride
on
the waves.
tight.
Right, hold on tight because it is, Melanie, I'm with you. There's days where I'm just like crawled in a ball, like I don't know what I'm doing. I can't write another line. And then there's other days where I'm like pounding the keys and I'm like, yeah, 1,200 words in half a day,
Yeah, it's
So,
that extreme for me, honestly. Like, just depends on the day. And it's like literally on the days I'm really, really high, just being like, enjoy this moment. And just
right.
remember when the bad time comes that you felt like this. And then when the bad time comes, being like, weather this moment and just remember the up's going to come again. And yeah, it's just part of this journey, I guess. I mean, maybe it's like how we keep, lately, I kind of just try to embrace all those feelings because maybe it's how we keep ourselves in check, both to like do better, but also to keep striving for these big goals. Because without both feelings, I think you'd just stay in one place. But like the big up days, I'm like query every dream agent, baby, go. And then the other days you're just like, oh yeah, keep learning your craft, bitch. Like just you got to learn today some more.
That's right. Yeah, this industry is not for the thin-skinned. And even once you get an agent, like 2022 was really hard for me because, 2021 I got my book deal. I started writing my second book, but then 2022 I had a lot of rejection too. Like there were a couple things that fell through and even when you're already kind of feeling like, okay, I have an agent, like things are good, you could have a whole year where nothing happens. Like nothing happens. I just wrote, but nothing else really happened. Turtles was in copy edits, design was taking care of stuff, marketing was taking care of stuff. I was kind of hands off with it for the most part. And I was just in my world. And a couple of things I got some rejection. And yeah, you have to weather them and just ride the wave and keep going.
That's it right there. It's a beautiful reminder, honestly, because it's something we all go through as writers. Now, would you say like that was the hardest part so far for you, was like dealing with 2022, or what has
Yeah, I think book two in general has been kind of kicking my butt. I mean, I think it's a much cleaner first draft than Turtles, obviously. But yeah, it's sort of, you got to keep plowing and trying to get over those humps and over those hard days. I think so. I think that's probably been the hardest part is book two. Book two.
the beast that is book two?
It really is no joke. I mean, just the feeling creatively blocked because of the stress. So I think that has been my thing. When I wrote Turtles, I had no expectations. I had no stress. I had no time constraints. There was nothing, no deadline looming or anything. But with book two, you're contractually obligated because it's a 2-book deal to create this. And it also has to be something that your publishing house wants. And so, having written 2 novels that I just absolutely loved that weren't a good fit, as my book two, was a little bit crushing, but at the same time, now I have two other novels in my back pocket.
That's it. You got them.
So, but it's been the hardest part, but it's also been the best part, because every time I sit down to work on this book, it's like Melanie was saying, I have these days where I'm like, this is crap. And then other days where I'm like, this is amazing. And like, I get to do this. So just reminding myself that like, I get to sit here and like create these characters. And there's days that I'm just so in love with these characters that it's enough to keep me going. But I'm not going to lie, there were months where I was really blocked, and I thought it was just because I couldn't write. I was like, I can't write. Like, I was just kidding myself. Like, but it was just that I was creatively blocked because I was stressed. So if you're stressed, you can't be creative.
Yeah. I just love you. And honestly, that's what I come back to every time I have the like harder days, where I'm just like, I get to do this. Like, we're already winning by getting to do that, by getting to like have those days that you just like, oh, it's so hard. Like, and the fun part is we can look back and smile on that and laugh about it. Like, it's anguishing anguishing. What's the word?
I think that's a word.
Brutal when you're there. But yeah, like it is a win that we get to do it and like, chase this creative thing. I just love everything you just said. You took me to write a church. And
yes.
I see our time has like absolutely evaporated. I have adored having you on. Seriously, one of those days where I forgot we were on screen and I was transported to like if we were in
a coffee shop chatting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, I love you both so much. I'm so happy we're on this journey together. Like, this is just the beginning. Honestly, like, it's just the beginning. And that's how I'm viewing even Pub Day. It's like, it's just the beginning. Like, no pressure.
No pressure. It's just one book, one of many to come. And having you on here has just been such a breath of fresh air. Melanie, I'm speaking for Melanie. I always do. We just love and adore you, and we're just so excited and proud of you and happy for you and your beautiful book. And so we just cannot wait to watch you swim off into the sea of good tidings.
Yes.
I love it. I love it.
Surf those waves with the sea.
Yeah, I'm gonna ride those waves. And the tagline for Turtles is "Be the wave of change."
Ooh, there it is.
Yes. Well, I love you guys too, and I love your podcast, and it's been such a pleasure being on here.
Thank you, Maria. We love you so much.
Yeah, love you guys.
I know it's gonna come.